Hey fellow Star Wars fans, it's Drew Kaplan, Star Wars Maven. Got another book here. This book actually came out in 2017. I just finally got around to reading it, which is Star Wars from a Certain Point of View. Now this book is, as you can see on here, it's got 40 different stories celebrating 40 years. It came out in 2017, 40 years after the 1977 release of A New Hope. And as you can see, it's got a lot. There is a lot in here. And one thing that really comes through is the diversity of styles. Some are on the silly side, some are on the serious side, some are poetic. There's a cartoon in here. It's just a wide variety of genres and styles. I will say, I did have some favorites. I'm just going to put it out there. Actually, before I go into it, let me tell you what these stories are. They're all stories related to what happens in A New Hope in Episode 4. Really, they are narrative expansion, and that is exactly what they're doing. Sometimes what's really strange is they even bring in characters that literally are not even on screen. They're not part of the story, but they in some way touch upon the characters or the events of A New Hope. And so some of them get really creative. Some of them expand our notions of what happens in the movie. So I want to share with you 5 highlights for me from this book. The very first story was awesome, written by Gary Whitta. It was called Ramus Antilles, and it beautifully weaves together the end of Rogue One with the very beginning of A New Hope. Really well done, really insightful. Before I go on, I just want to say I don't think that this book is necessarily a must-read for all Star Wars fans, especially since it is quite lengthy and voluminous. However, serious Star Wars fans, it definitely provides more about A New Hope. All of that having been said, Gary Whitta's Ramus, this first story in the volume, I highly recommend even to the most peripheral Star Wars fans because of the way Whitta really nicely ties in the end of Rogue One to the beginning of A New Hope. We also have I'm going to 4 others I want to highlight. Beth Revis's Fully Operational, which provides some background to, it's really told from the point of view from General Taga and some of his antagonism really with I want to say Tarkin, but some of the other officers going on in that famous round the table conversation. Another is Madeline Rue. Her story called Eclipse is really interesting. It's deeply fascinating and also very sad. It takes place on Alderaan, really following Breha Organa and then eventually seeing Bail Organa, who comes to meet her, and then he realizes what that thing is in the sky. He knows exactly what it is. It's a really interesting, intriguing, and deeply tragic story. Really good. One of my favorites, I didn't expect it to be this good. I am a Pablo Hidalgo fan, so I'm just putting that bias out there. His Verge of Greatness. That's the story name, Verge of Greatness. I've never read any stories by Pablo Hidalgo. I just knew him from what he's shared, especially on Rebels Recon. This was phenomenal. This really was quite the highlight. And if you're a Pablo Hidalgo fan like me, must read. This is really from Grand Moff Tarkin's point of view, and a lot of it really is a fallout from Rogue One and his basically his conflicts with Krennic, with director Krennic. So this is a really good story. And the 5th story I want to highlight is Adam Christopher's End of Watch, which follows some random Death Star officer, but it provides a lot of insights into just how vast of a battle station this Death Star is. So that is actually a really insightful book. We do get throughout this book little nuggets here, there, and everywhere of the Death Star. Of one of the really interesting things I never thought about was the turbo lasers on the Death Star really meant more for capital ships rather than little fighter ships, which is why the fighter ships by and large were not being hit by these turbo lasers, which was really fascinating. And there was a whole bunch around the various characters of the Cantina, which was just a bit much. But this is a really interesting book. So again, not essential reading, although I do, if you only read a couple of these stories, I highly recommend Gary Whitta's Ramus, Pablo Hidalgo's Verge of Greatness, and probably I would suggest Madeline Rue's Eclipse as a third possibility. But so really interesting stuff going on in this book, and that's what I got to say about it. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe if you did like and subscribe this, and may the Force be with you.